Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for joining me today for this workshop. My name is Andy and I will be your moderator. So we have two screenwriters that will go on. We'll first have Johnny read Makwa, followed with a feedback session, and then we'll have Jasmine's Witches or Bitches, followed with another feedback session. Each writer's workshop will be about an hour, so I will notify you all when the time is almost up. I will also put some questions in the chat for you to consider when listening. And just a heads up, this Zoom session will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you don't want to be shown, I suggest you turn off your camera at all times. Actors, please keep your camera on at all times during your reading so we can get your reaction shots. And audience, your camera must be turned off at all times during each reading. Feel free to use the emoji reaction function on Zoom. You're also welcome to use the chat if you want to make any immediate comments. You can turn them back on for the workshop, but if you're violating any of our workshop guidelines, I'm going to have to remove you from the call. And I guess just a little quick bio about Johnny and Jasmine before we start. Johnny Cole is a filmmaker, writer, photographer, and mentor. Barely out of his teens, Johnny was hired to write a play based on the experiences of those in an addiction treatment center. He discovered that stories can be powerfully transformative and that the medicine of stories for everyone. He has since been navigating and weaving his way through the worlds of entertainment and healing. With Hollywood, 70s classic films, noir, dystopian sci-fi, along with psychology, shamanism, and the healing arts inform his work. Jazmine Cornielle is an award-winning actress, writer, and filmmaker based in NYC. She's a graduate of the William Esper Studio for Meisner Technique and has taken classes at the Upright Citizens Brigade for comedy writing. She's a co-founder of the horror company Human Pincushion Productions, where she writes and produces horror films. Among her most recent projects are the award-winning film Raven and the web series Short Screams. She is also the founder of the sketch comedy group, a series of unfortunate folks where she writes and performs comedy sketches. So I hope you all enjoy. Feel free to send me a private message in the chat box if you have any questions or concerns as we go along. And without further ado, I present to you Makwa. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, Johnny, did you want to talk a little bit more about your piece before we start?
Yeah, just briefly, it's oh God, it's a lot of things, but it's based on a lot of my own experiences in my own life. My understanding of psychology, spirituality, indigenous cultures, human relationships, and it goes into some fairly dark places within the psyche that we often don't want to pay attention to. But when we don't do that, they override us in many surprising and unsurprising ways. And so it's really hopefully a healing medicine story for these times, or for my time, that just kind of kept coming through me, even though many times I preferred to do something else. And that's the way with work like that. So I'm thrilled with all the support I've gotten, both from people and artists in the spiritual realm, and Pachamama, Mother Earth, that's continued to assist me on this journey. It's not by far been a solo project. So that's Makwa.
Okay, cool. So I guess we can begin. Everyone, I suggest you to turn off your cameras right now.
Makwa by Johnny Cole. Fade in. Exterior mountain highway day. A rugged but sleek motorbike accelerates and weaves around traffic. The driver, Alaska, wears a skin-tight face mask with a helmet. An embroidered bear claw fills out the back of her leather jacket. Another biker blasts ahead, sporting goggles and a helmet. He bobs through traffic, turns back, and fires a pistol. Alaska ducks and pursues him. They lean into sharp corners, weaving in and out of driverless cars and windowless cylindrical trucks. A holograph appears in front of Alaska's goggles. Dust storm ahead. She presses a button, and a protective shield comes down around her wheels. The cars and trucks do the same. Exterior desert highway day. A dust storm rises up from the desert floor and towers on the horizon. Visibility lowers to 40%. Alaska closes the gap. The biker looks back, then veers off the road across the sand onto an adjacent cargo highway. She follows and merges into the extremely fast line of oncoming driverless trucks. He fires his gun and misses again. Alaska catches up and sideswipes his front tire. His gun falls to the ground as he regains control. Large metal plates, hoisted by hydraulics, fold up one by one from the sides of the highway, creating an interlocking storm barrier for the commercial cargo. The biker sees an exit just past the folding dust barriers. He goes for it, takes a sharp left into the desert and the oncoming dust storm. Alaska doesn't hesitate. She guns it and tracks him onto an open road leading towards a fenced-in mine. The highway dust barrier closes behind her. Exterior mined day. Alaska chases him through a hole in the fence. The overhead dust cloud thickens as they fly by empty trailers, abandoned workhouses, a vacant church and store. They plow past a sign that reads lithium mine, keep out. Alaska pursues as the biker weaves past robotic front loaders, cranes, and dump trucks extracting lithium. The machines stop and begin to seal up and barrier themselves against the growing storm. A robotic security helicopter rises up over the hill. The biker turns sharply and spins back right at Alaska. She pulls out a weapon and fires an electromagnetic pulse at his bike as he tries to pass her. The bike locks up, sending him in the air and crumbling into a silo. Alaska rides up to him. She presses a button on her wrist. A small platform folds out of the bike. She drags his limp body and plants him on the sidecar, which shackles him in place. Alaska jumps on her bike and drives away. A security copter emerges from behind a building, spots Alaska, aims its gun, and loses her in the storm. A bone-thin coyote scurries past, seeking cover from the dust. Exterior desert highway day. Alaska now rides under clear skies and arrives at a concrete building surrounded by razor wire and canvas army tents. An all-seeing security device surveys the area, then zooms in on Alaska as she dismounts. She takes off her helmet and pulls back her face mask, disclosing her late 20s mixed Native American features. She has the eyes of a hunter and a partially shaved head. She looks up. The device zooms in closer and reads, Alaska Rainmaker, bail agent number 752. The security door slides open. Alaska yanks the biker off the sidecar. She walks him to the door in handcuffs. Interior outpost building day. Bounty hunters with cuffed prisoners sit on benches. Christmas music plays in the background. Alaska leads the man to the window. She presses a button. A robotic arm extends outwards with a pair of eye goggles attached to the end.
Eyes open.
The man hesitates, then headbutts the goggles away. Alaska slams him into the wall and punches him. Her hand starts shaking. She clenches her fist, trying to control it. The man notices, looks back to the door for an escape route. She quickly grabs his head and holds it in front of the goggles. He keeps his eyes closed. Her hand still shakes, but she reaches below and squeezes his balls.
Open sesame.
He grunts as his eyes go wide and the robot scans them.
Bill Perkins, domestic violence.
A green light flashes above a side door, which unlocks itself and opens. She shoves him through the door, and it closes behind him. A small digital sign reads $2,192.58.
Cheapskate.
She waves her wrist device over it. The number rolls to $0. Alaska leans against a wall with her hands shaking. She reaches for a pill in a bottle, pops one in her mouth. She catches her breath, steadies herself, and her eyes refocus. She glances at a few most wanted posters on the wall, including one of the copycat killer, 50K reward. She takes a few posters and stuffs them in her pocket. Alaska looks up at a flat screen TV playing in the corner. Clothes on, news anchor delivering the day's top stories.
In national news, with the melting of the A-78 iceberg, the evacuations continue throughout the Florida Keys and Dade County as rising sea levels worsen and make the area uninhabitable. Meanwhile, the drought and heat wave continue across most of the U.S. Seniors are advised to stay indoors.
Pull back to reveal the news anchor on a flat screen TV in a storefront window surrounded by the same image on several other flat screens. We pull back further and see the storefront window shatter as a riot takes place. Exterior city streets, dusk, super, America 2047. Protesters from all walks of life fill the streets. Some lie on the ground, some march carrying climate protest signs. Water is life. Oil is crude. Stop the extinction. A giant whale balloon floats above the crowd with the slogan, "Save the oceans, save our home." Helicopters, drones, and police vehicles fly overhead. Exterior side street night. Gemini moon, 30s, female presenting with light blue skin and big orange hair, stands underneath an awning and hands out gas masks to her friends. Daniela Sky, 30s, sassy rebel in a dress and docks, and Rachel Lamont, 30s, bright and magnetic, who takes a video selfie of the group.
We're at the Water is a Human Right protest. What you got, Gem?
She turns the camera on Gemini and Daniela.
It's all connected. The trauma we inflict on each other and ourselves is directly related to the abuse and pollution of Mother Earth.
It's all one fight. Climate change, queer, gender, indigenous rights, human rights, civil rights, your rights, my rights, and our rights to fly our personal freedoms flag.
Most especially the children. Heal ourselves, heal the earth, heal the future. Does it get any simpler?
Daniela raises a laser weapon.
So $10 for every drone we shoot down, right?
Plus a shot of tequila.
We're getting high tonight.
They put on their masks. Rachel grabs a protest sign and puts on a helmet cam. An old woman in a baseball cap observes them from a distance. Exterior, City Hall, night. The three friends join the chanting crowd.
Water is life. Water is life.
Police and riot gear pile out of vans, followed by 8-foot-tall cubed robots on wheels who push back the crowd.
Disperse and clear the streets. Holy shit, here they come.
Viva la resistance.
Rise and resist!
The crowd throws rocks and smoke bombs at the robots and police, who fire tear gas along with rubber bullets. Daniela points her laser to an oncoming scout drone. She knocks it out of the air. Gemini and Rachel march forward. The police push them back. A robot slams Gemini, knocks her down, and injures her arm. Gemini gets separated from Rachel and Daniela and becomes lost in the crowd. Jordan Crane, 26, a mercurial pixie, dressed as Captain Climate Change in a green hat, silver jumpsuit, and a blue cape, hoverboards through the crowd. Jordan finds a wallet on the ground. She opens it and sees the ID. She scans the crowd for Rachel, but doesn't see her. She jumps on top of a mailbox, pulls out a pocket telescope, and looks around. No luck. She hops on her hoverboard and speeds off. Exterior street, night. Gemini steps out of the crowd onto a side street. She removes her gas mask, examines her injury, and keeps walking. Jordan zooms past her and around the corner. Gemini turns the same corner. The older woman we saw earlier with the baseball cap walks with a cane. She carries a crate of oranges and opens the side door to a white van. She trips, and the oranges fall on the ground.
Let me help you with those.
Gemini approaches and picks up the oranges. She sees one in the back of the van. The woman hobbles forward. Gemini stops her, gets in the van.
I got it.
Gemini reaches for the orange. A cloth-covered hand goes over her mouth, and her eyes go wide. She struggles, but the contents of the cloth make her pass out. The door slams shut. A Salvation Army Santa, white beard, red hat, and a sweat-stained t-shirt, rings his bell nearby, oblivious. Interior, Rachel's apartment pod day. Rachel and Daniela stand in the doorway.
It's been 3 days. Where the fuck is she? We need to file a missing persons report.
I don't want to invite the cops into her life.
Daniela, Gemini has always looked out for us. Even that time you disappeared for 4 days and we all thought you were dead, but it turned out you were on that bender with Pablo.
All right. But I'll do it anonymously. I don't want to hear about it from Gem.
Call me if you hear anything.
They hug each other. Daniela leaves. Rachel locks the door. She walks to a heavy bag that hangs from her ceiling and punches it in frustration. Exterior city day. A city of congested skyscrapers gives way to hill upon rolling hill of tightly knit concrete dwellings blanketing the landscape. Exterior country day. Alaska winds her motorcycle along a country road past hills, trees, and a river. She rides down a dirt road through a grassy meadow, which is alive with flowers and birds. She arrives and parks in front of a rustic cabin by a lake. She removes her helmet, takes a deep breath, and smiles. Interior cabin day. Alaska turns on the lights and presses a button that opens all the shuttered windows. She puts down her saddlebag and removes her jacket, revealing a Princess Mononoke t-shirt. She turns on the Christmas tree. She pulls out the most wanted posters and tacks them on the wall next to a picture of her mother. Serena Rainmaker, 30s, Native American Cree, with chiseled features, an old soul, and wearing a beaded pendant. Pictures of Serena's mixed with crime scene photos and newspaper clippings. Wife of cop killed, the roach not guilty. Alaska lights sage and sweeps it over personal and family photos of Serena. She hears a child's laughter outside. She looks out the window and sees exterior meadow day. Young Alaska Rainmaker, 7, mischievous, wears a summer dress and a long feathered earring in her right ear. She runs and frolics through the meadow. The image flickers. Interior cabin day. Alaska's hands start shaking. She reaches into her jacket pocket, pulls out her pill bottle. It's empty. She panics. She runs to the bathroom, opens the medicine cabinet. Empty. She stumbles to the kitchen, searches the cupboards. She starts shaking more. Alaska grabs a wooden spoon from the drawer and bites it as she falls hard to the floor. Her body spasms in a seizure. Saliva foams from the side of her mouth. Her eyes roll in the back of her head. Exterior meadow, seizure, flashback, day. Young Alaska sits next to a bush eating berries. The juice covers her face. She's in heaven. The image flickers again. Suddenly, a shadow appears in front of her, blocking out the sun. She looks up and sees Serena.
Oh, there you are, Alaska.
Alaska quickly hides the empty basket, attempts to conceal the berry juice from her face.
I see you've been collecting berries for us again.
Oh, Mama, I didn't find any.
I can see that. What will happen when they're all gone?
The bears will go hungry?
Yes, our bear ancestors and
the fox will have empty tummies, and the birds will stop singing, Mama.
Anime foxes and birds appear and look at Alaska.
what will become of us if we take too much?
The Wheatago will come.
The foxes and birds nod at her.
And the earth?
She will get sad and die.
That's right. That's why we have to take care of her.
They walk through the meadow holding hands. Serena has an embroidered eagle on the back of her shirt, which comes alive and flies away.
Mama, have you ever seen a Wheatago?
The sky darkens as the scene plays out in anime.
Oh, yes. It will possess and take you over. Your eyes will go black and your stomach will be so empty that no matter how much you eat, you'll always be hungry.
Serena scrunches her face. She shows her teeth, raises her arms, and playfully growls like a Wheatago. Serena chases after Alaska, who squeals with delight and runs toward the cabin. A coven of crows fly overhead. The anime flickers and ends. A bear at the far end of the meadow walks along the edge of the forest. Its ears perk up at a sound from the woods. Serena and Alaska watch it go into the forest and hear it growl and fight. Red lightning flashes across the sky and thunder crashes.
Inside, quickly.
Alaska runs up the steps of the cabin with Serena. Interior cabin, seizure, flashback, day. Serena follows Alaska inside.
Get in the closet.
Why, Mama? Is it the Wheatago?
Don't come out unless I tell you.
Alaska runs to the closet. Serena shutters the windows. Exterior cabin, seizure, flashback, day. The dead bear lies bleeding on the forest floor. The sound of footsteps continues in the woods. Interior cabin, seizure, flashback, day. Young Alaska sits in the closet, frozen in fear. She hears a crashing lamp, a growl, a cry, and then a piercing scream. Her body starts shaking. She goes into a seizure, and her anime spirit floats above her body. Interior cabin day. Alaska slowly opens her eyes. She takes the spoon out of her mouth and wipes off the saliva from her cheek. She walks across the quiet room and lifts up the lid on an old trunk that reveals a bearskin. She holds up the head and touches its fur. She puts it back and closes the lid. Alaska looks at a picture on the wall of her grandmother. Noko Rainmaker, 81, Native American Cree with long gray braids and a twinkle in her eye. Alaska picks up a book called Cree Traditions. She opens it and sees The Weetago, page 41 to 50. She flips through, finds an image of a shadowy creature, but the other pages are missing. She places the book back and puts on VR goggles.
Review the chase.
Footage of her chase of the prisoner appear on screen. The image freezes at her passing a truck.
Had you veered left instead of right, you would have gained 3 seconds.
Alaska shakes her head in frustration, puts on AR gloves.
Play Demon Hunter.
An augmented reality video game encompasses the room. Her cozy cabin becomes a cluttered warehouse. A gun appears in her hands. A creature appears and she shreds it with bullets. Interior cellar day. A dark and dusty bunker. Gemini is strapped to a table, mouth covered in tape, sweaty and bruised. Her eyes dart around and see a table with knives and dozens of IDs scattered about. Mason jars filled with fluids line an old brick wall with various contents, a squirrel, a foot, and genitals. The old woman from the van approaches, takes off her mask. We don't see her face. She places her mask in a row of others and runs her finger along several knives.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
Gemini looks confused and betrayed. She struggles and makes muffled sounds. Interior, Jake's compound, day. Amma, a homemade one-armed robot with a mechanical body, enters. She dances to David Bowie's Young Americans in her pink roller skates across a concrete floor. She has brown skin and a bald head with the face of a 30-year-old. She looks half finished, like someone ran out of money before she could be completed. A red light flashes in her eye. The music lowers and she skates towards a door that reads office. Interior, Jake's compound office, day. Jake Morse, 50s, sits behind his desk, grizzled and road-worn like he's seen too many ghosts, and he's haunted by the ones that got away. He flicks his Zippo lighter and scans large monitors with crime scene photos lining the concrete walls. A Packers flag hangs in the back. Amma rolls in and hands him a cup of coffee.
We got a report of a body
Location.
at the shoreline.
Amma freezes and cuts out.
Emma.
She comes back in.
In front of St. Francis Church.
Thanks.
She spins, wobbles, and exits. Jake drains his coffee. Exterior, Jake's compound, day. Jake steps out of the building into thick haze, revealing the outside of an old converted gas station surrounded by vintage cars, machines, crime scene setups, and a weapons range. Interior car, day. Jake gets in his self-driving car and exits through a metal gate that opens and closes behind him. He drives through the crowded streets and past a long line of people filed behind a water tank that reads Williams Water Delivery 1888 Wet Gulp. Jake watches a live stream on the dashboard monitor.
I'm Rachel Lamont, and you're watching Mischief.
Interior, Rachel's pod, day. Rachel sits in a room stacked with new computers, speakers, and technology. She wears a headset and sits in front of a few cameras.
Today, we are cracking open a mini-series on serial killers. Our first guest is Dustin Jacoby from the Museum of Modern Murder. Let's cut to the chase. Why has America spawned so many serial killers?
Interior, Museum of Modern Murder, day. Dustin Jacoby, 45, in a black suit with the air of a mortician, sits in his cluttered windowless room.
I'm no psychologist, but we've got lots of crime, poverty, and alcohol. And we love our Bibles even more than our booze.
Religion?
Interior cellar day. Gloved hands hold a labeling device and punch out the word issues. They peel off the label and place it on a jar.
In spades, we just don't practice to preach. All that together can lead to some gnarling behaviors. Add in the extreme summers, dust, storms, and Florida-like winters. I'm surprised we all haven't sliced and diced each other.
Interior car day. Jake drives through littered streets where the protest took place. He weaves through the city streets and into a rundown industrial area.
Yeah, I miss winter. Okay, now.
Rachel holds a book up to her camera.
We'll gift a copy of my friend Gemini Moon's new book, Rise Alive, Healing and the Emergence of the New Earth, to one lucky caller. This is Mischief. We'll be right back after the break.
The show's theme song plays. Exterior shoreline, day. Jake drives past an old boarded up, burnt out church. He stares at it, then pulls into a parking lot. Yellow warning tape and flashing lights boundary the area. Emergency personnel dressed in full bodysuits move about. A police car flies overhead. Jake walks toward the shoreline and passes through a robot security checkpoint. He gloves up, waves ammonium under his nose, ducks under a barrier, and approaches the crime scene. Bob Wyatt, 50s, captain, the serious suit type, studies the dead body.
What do we got, Bob?
More shit show, Jake. Body floated up on a log. 30's been deceased for a few days.
Jake squats next to the body. Bob points to a wound.
There's your cross carved into the forehead. This one's got blue skin.
Lividity?
No, abnormally blue. I'm not sure why. Also, it's not of flesh and a severed penis.
Copycat.
Everything matched so far?
Jake stands up and barks instructions.
Sweep the shoreline clean like your mama's kitchen. Seal off a mile radius. Look for weapons, knives, rope. Find me a weapon or a clue, damn it. We need to find this guy. And stay hydrated.
Jake drinks water. A drone pulls away from him and surveys the crime scene and surrounding area. Interior Demon Hunter augmented reality, day. Various creatures appear from behind barriers. They are shot and blown apart. A hologram of Jake appears in the game.
Hey, kiddo. What are you up to?
I buried one bad guy, turned in another, but the feds lowballed me.
Alaska continues shooting.
I thought you could spend some time with your old man. Come home for Christmas?
Why don't you come up to the cabin instead?
Long pause.
I can't go back up there.
Alaska blasts another ghoul.
And
Actually, I could use your help on a case.
I thought you were done hunting serial killers.
This is the last one.
You said that about the last one.
It's the last one.
Alaska stops shooting and looks at the hologram of Jake. She sees the burnt out church in the background.
Pause game. Is that St. Francis?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll definitely pass.
Okay, well, I also wanted to tell you that Amma's been falling apart.
Just fix her like I showed you.
Alaska, I can't keep up with this technology. Maybe it's time to decommission her. I can probably sell her for scrap.
Alaska pauses, then focuses again on shooting.
Okay, let me think about it.
Radio.
Jake smiles and disappears.
Computer, how much money do I have left after that last bounty?
The computer shows the calculations. Money disappearing into expenses, gas, food, bike repairs, ammunition, and games.
$132.72.
Alaska winces and fires her weapon.
Damn.
Interior, Jake's compound day. Amma watches a scene from the classic movie Easy Rider on TV. Billy, George, and Captain America sit in a jail cell.
Dude, is that like Dude Ranch?
Dude Ranch.
Dude means nice guy. Dude means a regular sort of person.
Dude. Nice guy.
Amma nods at the sound of the words, then turns her head as she hears the familiar sound of a motorcycle. She smiles. Exterior, Jake's compound day. The gate opens. Alaska rides into one of the bays and parks. Interior, Jake's compound day. She grabs her duffel bag and enters the living area. An artificial Christmas tree with lights stands lonely in the corner. Alaska deposits 2 presents under the tree.
Dude,
Alaska turns, runs over, and hugs her. Alaska looks her up and down, zeroes in on her missing arm.
What happened to your arm?
your father indicates it's a temporary malfunction.
I'll get you fixed up in no time.
Alaska locates a box of mechanical parts and limbs. She finds one that matches Amma's other arm and puts it in position.
I want to ask you something.
What is it?
Do you think I'll ever be allowed to roam free like a human being?
I'm not sure, Amma.
Alaska locks her new arm into place.
I would like to leave the compound someday. Drive across America, just like in Easy Rider.
I don't know. That's tough. AI rules, regulations, a lot of BS.
Amma tests her arm by raising it up and down.
What about purchasing a license from the black market?
We don't have that kind of cash.
Amma goes to a wall and rips off the copycat killer. 50K reward poster. She hands it to Alaska, who looks it over.
Yeah, it is a lot of money.
Do you want to jam?
Hell yeah.
Amma blinks. Rebel Girl by Bikini Kill emerges from her naval speaker. They dance around the room. Alaska bangs her head, spins her hair. Amma does her own robo headbanging moves. Jake walks in, smiles, and watches them.
Mind if I cut in?
Jake jumps in and dances. Amma looks at him, cuts the music.
Dude, three's a crowd.
He gives Alaska a hug. She smiles. Jake pulls back.
I didn't hear back. Thought you weren't coming home.
I don't really want to do the cop thing.
Okay. How long are you staying for?
I'm not sure this time.
Great. I'm just on my way to forensics. You want to come along?
She shakes her head.
Again, Dad, I don't want to do the cop thing.
Okay. Alaska, you were first in your class at the academy. You have a knack for this.
I also have a knack for calling my supervisor a cunt and having seizures in the bullpen. Besides, I really don't want to poke around dead bodies.
Jake shrugs his shoulders, walks away.
Suit yourself, but I'm stopping by Nikki's for some fried fish after.
Alaska rolls her eyes. Amma smiles. Interior, Rachel's pod day. Rachel's phone rings. She picks it up.
It's Gemini.
Interior, Rachel's bathroom day. Rachel turns on the shower and gets only a trickle. She compulsively rubs soap on her dry skin before turning off the shower. She crumbles to the floor in tears. Interior, Forensic Center, observation room day. Rachel and Daniela stand bereaved in front of a window and see what's on the other side. Daniela nods in shock. Rachel turns away as an attendant closes the window. Interior, Forensic Center, autopsy room day. Gemini lays on the table as Jake and Alaska look on. Wayne Sinclair, 40s, straight-laced coroner, reads from his report.
Positive ID and dental records match Gemini Moon, missing person. They are intersex with evidence of both male and female genitals and chromosomes.
Jake takes notes. Alaska leans in for a look. She takes hold of Gemini's arm, has a closer look at her blue skin and a moon tattoo.
Naija Manaduwag.
Excuse me?
She's a two-spirit.
Wayne nods.
Right. Blue skin as a result of a rare genetic disease called methaglobinemia.
What?
Globinemia. It's exacerbated by lower oxygen levels. Also suffered severe genital mutilation.
Jake shakes his head. Wayne hands him the report.
Trace amounts of rohypnol and chloroform.
Okay, so they were roofied. No matches to central DNA database. No further evidence of any fluids. No semen, blood, saliva, or urine.
Sounds like a ghost.
Wayne points to some deep scratches and several bite marks.
Also, rope burns around the wrists and teeth marks around the heart.
Alaska leans over, takes a closer look. She touches one of the bites. Her hand slightly shakes.
This looks familiar. Are these human or non-human?
Could be both. Maybe a canine or a coyote got to the body.
Valerie Johnson, 30 to 40s, mixed race, penetrating eyes, glides into the room. She lights up when she sees Jake.
Good to see you again.
Valerie, this is my daughter, Alaska. Valerie works with the department as a police psychic.
Valerie nods to everyone, gloves up.
May I?
They give her room. She hesitates. Shaken, she turns away.
Are you okay?
That's my friend Gemini.
You don't have to do this.
Valerie hesitates.
No, I'm okay.
She places her hands on Gemini's clothes. Valerie's pupils dilate. She closes her eyes as we see what she sees. A body rolls down the embankment into the water. A shadowy figure and the sound of shallow breathing. An 8-year-old child terrified. A white van screeches away on a road. Back to scene. Valerie steps back, opens her eyes, holds up the articles of clothing and jewelry, puts them back.
What can you see?
A white van again. The shadow, and now what looks to be a child.
A boy or a girl?
I don't know. 8 or 9? I'll get you a sketch.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't hear the voices. It's hard to penetrate his walls.
I don't really believe in psychics.
Valerie looks him over, touches his shoulder and smiles.
And I don't believe in skeptics, so we're even. But your wife is having an affair right now on your couch. Do you know a Terrence?
Wayne shakes his head, staggers out the door. Valerie shrugs her shoulders, calls after him.
Come by for a reading sometime.
She smiles and looks over at Jake.
Drop by. I'll get you that sketch.
Interior Nikki's Diner day. Jake and Alaska sit at a booth eating fried fish. Alaska wipes the oil off her face. Delicious.
So, are you gonna ask her out?
What?
Your friend Valerie. Clearly she has a crush on you.
Jake ignores her, keeps eating.
You gotta come out from behind your work. Get back in the game, Dad.
I am in the game. What do you know about dating anyway?
I know that if she likes you, she'll want you to make a move.
She's a tad too adventurous for me.
When was the last time you went on an adventure?
Packers, Bears, at Soldier Field. 8 years ago?
Dad.
We don't have enough in common.
You both hunt serial killers.
Yeah, and she's a little on the kinky side.
Alaska chokes on some fish.
And the problem is?
Alaska hides her grin, demolishes the fish. Interior Jake's compound day. Alaska stands at the wall of monitors and studies a series of autopsy pictures of different bodies, including Gemini Moon, 8 others, and her mother, Serena. She zooms in on bite marks on 5 of the bodies. Alaska sees photos of a disheveled, meek-looking man and St. Francis Church with the headline, "Local Priest Murdered by Serial Killer." We hone in on snippets and phrases. The roach convicted. Serves victims in tacos. She zooms in on the autopsy of Serena and the bite and scratch marks on her body. Alaska is fixated. Jake walks in and sees the images of Serena. He becomes immediately distraught.
What are you doing?
I'm looking at Mom's case.
Emma, get them off there.
The files disappear.
I was looking at that. Maybe there's some kind of connection. Look at the marks on these bodies. Same as Mom's.
They're just random animals scavenging for food.
On 5 bodies?
The files reappear.
Emma, I said to take it off.
Asked for my opinion, and my opinion is we should look at this connection. Gemini Moon, Mom, Roach, Father Brendan, and all these marks.
Alaska, not now.
I'm only coming back if we check out Roach again.
I pinned 4 murders on him, but I couldn't prove he killed your mother. Case closed. Besides, it's what started your seizures.
He killed Father Brendan from St. Francis. You found a body at St. Francis.
We're not revisiting Roach.
Jake walks away. Amma spins back and forth, shaking.
I don't even know why I bother coming back here.
Interior Jake's compound workshop day. An agitated Jake cleans out his shop. Amma approaches.
You're doing it again.
Drop it.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
Amma turns and leaves. Jake kicks a stool across the room. He puts his hands on the workbench and drops his head.
Fuck!
Exterior Jake's compound day. Alaska places her saddlebag on her bike. Jake approaches. He wipes grease off his hands.
Okay.
Okay, what?
I don't believe there's any kind of connection, but if you could help on the case, I'll take you to see Roach.
Alaska looks at Amma, who holds up the 50K reward poster in her hand. She stares at Jake, thinks it over for a beat.
Okay, deal.
He reaches into his pocket and hands her a badge.
I cleared it with the captain. Consider yourself deputized.
Alaska holds it and runs her thumb over the metal. Interior Jake's compound day. Jake and Alaska look at the screen full of maps, pictures, timelines, corpses. Images show the copycat killer caught on security cameras wearing various disguises.
Satellite images and security cameras show him avoiding facial recognition by the use of masks, usually an infamous serial killer. Gacy, Bundy, Raider, Dahmer, etc.
Alaska steps closer.
So he likes to play dress up. Probably projection, identity transfer, and a need for notoriety.
He wants to be identified with the famous ones, some sort of homage.
Faces appear on the screen along with their names.
9 known victims all experienced genital mutilation. A crosscut on the forehead and 5 had teeth and claw marks. A businessman in Chicago, hairdresser in Madison, coach in Green Bay, retired priest in Racine, a school teacher across the Canadian border in Sault Ste. Marie, and the rest, a street worker, a gymnastics coach, a Boy Scout leader, and a doctor were all local.
Where did the priest work?
7 parishes around the world.
Amma freezes mid-speech. Her lights blink on and off.
She's been shorting out.
I'll update her drives.
Alaska slaps her on the back.
Chile, Mexico City, Boston.
What about St. Francis?
Yes, 2 years.
Alaska looks over at Jake.
Why a Canadian school teacher? Seems a little risky to leave his territory and country.
We're not sure. We think it might be a copycat of a copycat.
Exterior cemetery day. Rachel stands over Gemini's newly dug grave. She is flanked by Daniela and Valerie. They are surrounded by a group of artists, goths, punk rockers, and other friends. Rachel reads aloud from Gemini's book.
We have all shared our live locations. We have all made phone calls, both real and fake. We have all tucked our hair inside our coats. We have all run down dark roads. We have all planned our escape routes and struggled to stay alive. We have all risen.
Rachel, Daniela, and Valerie each throw a handful of dirt on the coffin. Luke Durrell, 30s, dark suit and boyish charm that's been diminished by too many broken dreams, steps forward.
Sorry about Gemini.
Yeah, I'm still in shock.
Daniela hugs him. He releases her and embraces Rachel. She tears up and he holds her close. She pulls back.
How are you?
I'm okay. Did you find a place?
Still my parents. Feels like I'm caught in the middle of a never-ending passive-aggressive ping pong match.
You still have a box at my place.
I've been meaning to pick that up.
I wanted to ask if your band could play at the memorial.
Really? Sure, count us in.
Rachel hands Luke a stack of postcards. He walks over to Cameron Klein, 30s, working class, smokes a vape, looks like he's always 3 beers in. He stands with Yoshima, 30s, female, with sunglasses and a vibe out of a Matrix movie.
Hey, she wants us to play Jeb's memorial. Do you think we can get Eddie out?
I don't know. He's in one of his funks. Barely seen him since Burning Man.
Interior car day. Jake and Alaska survey the cemetery from a distance. Jake takes photos of the group. He puts the camera down.
Looks like she had quite a posse.
Exterior Eddie's house day. Cameron and Luke walk down the side of Eddie's house. Yoshima wanders behind them.
Yoshima seems cool. What happened to Cindy?
She stopped listening. I'll let you take Yoshima for a spin if you like. We can go back later and have a three-way.
What's up with your three-ways?
I just like human contact.
Luke knocks on the basement door. No answer.
Yo, Cheesehead, are you dead? Come on, we know you're in there.
Interior Eddie's basement day. Eddie Warren, 32, Native American, tense with sunken eyes that haven't seen sunlight in a month, sits in the dark. A computer glows on his face. His eyes look to the door, but he remains motionless. In exterior Eddie's house day, Cameron bangs on the door.
Hey, we got a gig coming up.
No answer. Bangs again. Luke shakes his head.
Should we come back?
I can't rescue him anymore. You know how many times I talked him off the bridge and took him to the ER when he overdosed?
Luke slides a postcard under the door. They all walk off. Exterior Eddie's basement day. Eddie picks up the postcard. He opens the curtain a crack and watches them walk away. Andy, you're muted.
Sorry. Okay, thanks for telling me. Okay, well, good job, guys. Well, we're gonna open up the feedback session. So I guess if you guys want to turn on your camera, you can. Sorry, I decided to sit in the kitchen, and I guess now the sun is like shining on my face. But so yeah, I guess I put a list of questions for you guys to consider. I know there's some people sitting in right now just to listen. So I guess I wanted to open up to them first. If you guys have any comments or questions for Johnny, this is the perfect time to, I guess, provide feedback that you feel like could like really improve the script and improve the story as a whole.
I think you have my video off.
Oh, yeah. You could try that. Hold on. I can't see you on here. Oh, just kidding. Ask to start video.
There you are.
Oh, I'm not all light.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not the only one, Andy, who's got some new light. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here somewhere. Thank you so much for excellent acting and reading. It really warms my heart to hear you all show up and present your best. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
If I could just provide general thoughts, I really enjoyed how, well, the number one, the world that you created, and the fact that when you're reading it, it doesn't seem like it's going to go into the story that it goes into when we find out, like, okay, now it's kind of centered on like trying to find the killer in a sense. Like, so I really like that that switch and how we think at the very least, I think it's kind of going to be like following Gemini Moon and like kind of wanting like to protect the earth and like, you know, things of that matter, but then it just veers off into a different direction. And I also enjoyed the comedy aspects that's in there as well, with like, you know, so it's like it's a nice blend of being serious, but also having that humor in as well.
Thank you. I think it was Oscar Wilde. I read something recently. He said, if you try to say something and don't have comedy, they will kill you. So we took that to heart. And yeah, it's it moves through some dense material. So as we all do, you know, at times in our lives, and maybe at the time of our human next step in evolution, and humor is sweet medicine. It's the master medicine. You can find the right time for it. So thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely really like the comedic elements. I really like how the actors brought it to life. So good job, actors. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to. I don't know if anyone else felt this way. I feel like there's a lot going on in these first 20 pages. I don't know, maybe it's because you're just, I know like you have to convey a lot of information all at once, but I feel like, the bounty hunter and like the dead bodies and whatnot, and like the climate crisis and whatnot. I'm not really sure how like the climate crisis kind of ties into these, I guess, like true crime or like murder mysteries. So yeah, I guess that's the only thing I kind of like would want to like talk about a little more, is like what was your intention with protests and whatnot.
Well, I mean, this is a little bit blunt, but I'm pretty blunt. Probably we've been tuned into the news a little bit more about climate change with all of the new protesting, and it's only going to get more and more and more. Just FYI, that side of the rage and the anger and the trauma will express itself in many, many different ways. In the old cultures, and the old stories, Native American, Indigenous, South American, old Irish stories, we are intricately connected to Mother Earth. There is no separation between her destiny and ours. And what I tried to do is what is happening within our interpersonal relationships, within our sense of separation that we allot to each other, and the trauma that we inflict upon each other is directly related to what is happening on Mother Earth. Absolutely. And it has always been that way. The younger cultures, and I would include Western culture as one of the younger cultures, that seem to have forgotten some of those ideas and some of those awarenesses. The ancient cultures, the older cultures, I live in an ancient culture here, right? Many people have been dislocated from their homeland. Sometimes through fault of their own, sometimes through, theft, earthquakes, all those things. America, even the indigenous people there have somewhat been in many ways dislocated from their own homes. And then many people they've come from other homes. And I live in a culture where that hasn't happened, right? The people who live here, I can walk out my door and I will see elders and people who've been here, and they've been here for thousands of years. And they're deeply infused in the culture of Pachamama, and the providing and the honoring and the apus and the medicine. And you rarely see trauma being flown back and forth between the folks here. They just don't have it. It's fascinating to see a culture that hasn't had a large degree of generational ancestral cultural trauma inflicted upon it. Now, they've had some, but their resilience and resistance and their continuity of being rooted in this land they're some of the most alive and aligned hearts I have ever met. So that's why I don't want us to get out of the story, whether it's Makwa or our personal story of what is emerging on the planet, without us understanding that the healing of Mother Earth is our own healing, our own hearts, our own ancestral trauma. That's a long-winded answer.
Sorry, just to cut you off for a second. If the audience wants to join the convo, you guys totally can. It's not just for the cast. Feel free to turn on your videos. Yeah, I guess my question for that is that, like, what do you feel like, or I guess how are you going to consider the fact that, like, there are a bunch of indigenous cultures, I guess, like, being conveyed in this, and like, is it, like, is it going to be insensitive in some way? Could it come off as like a, as a simplified or like a reduction of certain cultures? And like, yeah, I just wanted to know, like, how you feel like you could deal with that, or if anyone in the audience also felt that way. Open it up to anyone.
Sorry, Andy, what was your question? I'm sorry.
Well, basically, I was just asking if anyone like felt the same way, or like had the same concerns as to like I guess the combination of indigenous cultures, if that's going to be like somewhat problematic, I guess, if it's like a reduction of cultures, like it's very simplified, and especially like utilized by a white man and then put into a story that kind of is, it is a fantasy at the end of the day, and it's a sci-fi. So I was just wondering how like you, Johnny, would be able to tackle these problems, or like how do you think like that kind of like works into your script? And like for the audience, I don't know if anyone kind of would have an answer to that, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I can shed some insight on that. It's a good question.
Mhm.
It's about a 4-hour conversation, but I'll try to reduce my insights to a simpler thing. There's a line later on in comes on in the second act somewhere, I think third act maybe, where Grandma Noko, Rainmaker Alaska, comes to her in search of the Wendigo.
Mhm.
And she says, Grandma, I want to learn more about our culture. And Grandma said, our culture? There's only one culture. It is a culture of diversity, beauty, love, and the interconnection of all things. Everything else is everything else. And it's almost a direct line that a Navajo elder told me. I've had many, many influences on the script. My duty to the story is to follow the story. I can't go to write something and go, hey, I need to go check with various committees, although my journey has been that, and into the story itself, into the creation. So Two Spirits, or Mi'kmaq, Navajo, Cree, Quechua, and many others speaking into the African American and white, Asian, speaking into the story. My own personal journey, which I'll share with you, is that, I was writing a story maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And I was also simultaneously had been mentoring a young Navajo woman who had lost her father.
I'm sorry, Johnny, just to cut you off. I think Jennifer wants to ask something. I saw that you're.
I'll just finish it and then I can, because I want to honor her. And anyway, I found out in my writing that she had committed suicide. Her sister called me. And it was one of the most devastating things I've experienced in my life. And through the writing, and Alaska appeared into the story. And it may have been my friend, it may not have been, I don't know. But something pulled me in that direction for my own healing and for the healing of our relationship, which is, profoundly sacred. And thus we have Makwa today. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Jennifer, did you want to respond to that, or did you have another question that you want to bring up or anything? You're still on mute.
Sorry, that's really beautiful. I loved the non-homogeneous nature of the script. I loved how multifaceted it was. I loved that that it addressed multiple different cultures and viewpoints, sexuality, everything, and I thought it was very, it was perfect for me when I read it. And the actors, so for the audience members here that didn't have the actors, we got the whole script. So you guys just got the first 27 pages, but we got to read the entire thing. So we have a little bit of a a little bit of a benefit there. We saw the whole story, but I loved it. I loved the fact that you had this interplay and that you didn't feel constrained to only write, you know, a white man's story. I think I loved it. But my question was actually, and this is from somebody that read the entire script, I found myself really fascinated by Gemini and really fascinated by Rachel. And especially Gemini, I wanted to get more of her backstory. But then I wondered, as I read the script, I thought, well, there's a lot packed into this script. And I wonder how many iterations you had been through. And I wonder if there had been a backstory to Gemini that maybe got removed through the editing process. And sorry, this is a lot of questions. I wondered if you'd ever thought, I know, doing this as a television series in addition.
Yes. The you know, the journey of it will be it's kind of whatever, but I'm just guided. You know, I don't have the answers beyond this moment really for it. It just shows me where it wants to go, and if it will go there, that's fine. I'm open to it. I'm open to where that medicine is guided to, and television series is. And you know, one of the places I wanted to put the backstory of Gemini is in her book, which I have to write at some point. You know, Gemini's, she represents the holy integration of the divine masculine and divine feminine within each of us. Right? Many of the ancient cultures, particularly over in India, will talk about the blue beings, you know, and Shiva and whatnot, Krishna, you know. And so she's kind of the earth, but she's also of another dimension, another place. And I would imagine, like many people, you know, I don't want to go too far into it, but like many people in this culture have experienced sexual abuse as children, which for me, you know, I started working that when I was 21. I started to work with people not untrained. I wrote my first play about that subject predominantly. And so I would imagine that she would have been sexually abused as a child and found her way back. And as many people, many of the wounded healers do, if they find their way back, they heal more than they're wounded, and they help someone else. That's how it goes, you know. And so she was in a position as an artist, and she'd come out enough to be an artist, to be a guiding light for people who were sexually traumatized. So it was an important figure to have. It was an important figure to have, as though she's the first murder in the script. You know, she's the underlying frequency that perhaps one or two of us, or many of us, are navigating, of how we navigate that masculine feminine energy within us. That's that.
Thanks for sharing. So I guess, does anyone have any last thoughts or comments that they wanted to make before we move on to Jazmine's piece?
Yeah, I wanted to ask him about the character Alaska. What were his thoughts about the character of Alaska? Like
Alaska. Hmm? Alaska is my hero. Again, often when we show that sort of warrior spirit, both in all the genders, you know, all of the genders, we show that warrior spirit, which some, you know, I don't, without getting too much into the gender side, but it's a little more the masculine warrior spirit, you know, that animation of the yang. So she's kind of tough, you know. She's out riding a motorcycle in the Netherlands, dust storms, kind of an isolated person, and she's doing her job. She's doing the job that she can do, and she's got trauma. Unhealed trauma from the witness that she heard didn't see it from her mother, you know, and that whole life was taken away from her, and her whole family blown up, her whole everything, and some of us experience that on the earth to a certain degree, and so when she was, it comes later in the script, when she was that happened when she was 7. When she was 13, and she was with her father, she got the idea to create a robot. You know, she had the skills going to school, the technical skills and the know-how. You know, she plays the video games and she does all that kind of stuff. But she has this, it became her friend, like many of us, and maybe those times we had invisible fairy friends or dolls or who knows what. But she created Alma, you know, and it was her ally and her buddy that helped her through that time, and but still carries the trauma. It was like a surrogate mother for her, but still carries the trauma. And that, like many people, and I will be the first to say it, like, I can't speak on behalf of Indigenous people from the Americas. I can certainly speak on behalf of the Indigenous people from Europe and Iceland and Ireland, from where I am from, is that many of us have been dislocated from our ancestral wisdom. And I would be hard pressed. I could talk to 20 of my friends here, North American friends who are here, who have Indigenous background, who are hungry for their own wisdom. It goes with the territory. And so Alaska's journey of her fortitude is that she's not just a cop, she's not just a bounty hunter, but it's through searching and understanding her relationship to her ancestral culture, ancestral medicine, that not only does she heal and gain her medicine power, but she defeats the enemy. And that's a fucking beautiful thing. I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. I love her.
You're welcome.
I love her.
Good job, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so I think we're going to move on to Jazmine's script now. If Jazmine's here right now, if you want to turn on your camera real quick and just say hi to everyone. Hey, Jazmine. So we're going to be reading Witches Are Bitches. It's going to be a short screenplay. It's going to be a dark comedy. Jazmine, do you have anything you want to say before we start? Oh, you're muted.
Oops. Just have fun with it.
Okay, cool. So I guess, yeah, without further ado, we present Witches Are Bitches.
Fade in. Exterior, tavern, night. Drunk witches and warlocks walk in and out, some making out and others fall over themselves. There's a brawl between two warlocks over a girl. They accidentally turn her into a chicken. Interior, tavern, bar. Dashing Dalvin is drinking a bubbling pint of beer. He's up close and personal with Rebecca, a bar wench. A hooded figure is at the opposite end of the bar, peering out. That'll be 10 pieces of gold, love.
What do you mean? I'm Dalvin, the warlock savior of this town. You're welcome for conquering these dragons and thus saving this tavern, where you get to meet me.
You didn't just catch him. You made him explode. Dragons have feelings and families too.
Hold that thought.
Dalvin has spotted another witch. He walks over to her.
Hey, beautiful. You ready to catch a ride on this wand?
The hooded figure, hideous Freya, pops up right behind Dalvin. He jumps and makes an eek sound. She gets close to his ear.
I don't think she'd have a grip like mine. They say the ratchet ones can drag you into the night sky of ecstasy. Painful? Yes. Pleasureful? For me.
Ew.
You. Go before I turn you into a cloud of smoke like I did your mother when she had the audacity to try to take my cauldron under my bridge.
She was looking for something to cook us dinner. We were hungry. She didn't know that you lived there.
Was it my fault that she was poor and stupid?
I was only 9.
Actually, bye, bitch.
Freya waves her hand and the witch turns into a cloud of smoke. Dalvin starts coughing.
How annoying would that have been? Blah, blah, I have no mommy, blah, I'm poor, blah, 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 I'm a stupid bitch. I saved you from a pity party tonight, my little savory savior.
She was still hot. What a shame.
Oh, don't worry. I'll take care of that wand of yours.
No thanks. I hear you like to collect weenies for your spooky little spells. I'd like to keep my dick after completion.
Dalvin starts to walk away. Freya follows.
Oh, yes, I'd love to keep yours in a jar by my nightstand, but I can make an exception for your magnificent morsel.
Dalvin looks at her up and down, considering, then notices another chick. She makes eyes at him and he gets excited.
Go away, witch. Nobody likes you.
Freya watches with a snarl as he flirts with Chick. He takes her hand as they head into the restroom. Fury flares in her eyes. Her mouth moves. She is chanting something inaudible. When she is done, a huge smile hits her lips. A group of witches watch her and making faces like ew. Dude bumps into...
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
You'll do.
She grabs him by the collar and they disappear in a cloud of smoke. Everyone gags.
Why does it smell like farts?
Exterior, tavern next morning. A dragon's scream is heard. Dalvin looks defeated as he walks past the tavern, sad. Some folks look at him and snicker. Cut to exterior, under the bridge, afternoon. Freya is stirring human parts into green liquid.
There was an old lady who swallowed a man. I don't know why she swallowed a man. Perhaps she'll kill again.
Dalvin enters, coughs loudly, interrupting. She stops mid, haha.
Oh, I wasn't expecting such yummy company. I would have left room in my cauldron.
You know, there was another dragon in town today, setting shit on fire, eating goats and kids. Of course, me being the most powerful.
Second most powerful.
That's what I said. Anyway, there was a dragon in town today as usual, so I went to save the day as usual. But lo and behold, my powers are all gone. So I go old school and try to use my wand, but not a spark.
Interesting.
So Clayton shows up on his little white boom. He puts out the fire, saves the goats and kiddos like it's nothing.
Dalvin kicks over an empty potion bottle and sighs loudly.
Clayton, you say, huh?
Don't think I don't know that you send that dragons every week just for me to catch them.
That would be a lovely thing for me to do.
But this time, you did it to embarrass me.
Oh, I would never.
Stop the act, witch. Give me my powers back.
Putting her hands up.
Okay, you caught me. I'm getting bored of this little cat and mouse game. I want my toy.
Not happening.
Then say goodbye to your sexy savior days.
It can't happen. I don't know if you noticed, but my image is very important to me, and you're considering you in this town. You wouldn't be able to keep this secret. I'm too awesome.
Freya keeps getting closer to him. They're now face to face, whispering,
What you want me?
Your breath smells like old people farting in the dumpster that will soon be my life. I like it.
Okay, Warlock. I'll give you the potion that you'll unlock your magic once more. But you have to give me one thing.
What's that?
You must allow me to touch you, and you must admit that you want it.
Of course I want it. Do it.
Freya reaches her hand over and squeezes his butt cheek. Dalvin lets out a moan.
Damn you, you horrid sexy.
He smacks his butt. Freya laughs a witchy laugh as she goes over to grab the potion from her shelf of dicks.
You already had it ready.
I knew you'd know it was me. I'm sure those little witches that were watching me told you.
She hands him the bottle. As they both have their hands on the potion at the same time, they lock eyes.
One last thing. I'm gonna need you to send another dragon so I can salvage my reputation.
Whispering in her bad breath,
God.
Dalvin moans. Cut to exterior tavern night. A couple of witches are huddled, laughing maniacally and skipping in a circle. A man eating 2 huge pieces of meat, and a little girl levitating, asking her dad to take her home. Interior tavern bar. Dalvin is back at it. He is talking to Rebecca from before. Yeah, it was so amazing how you didn't kill the dragon this time. Like, it was brave.
I'm a brave guy. That's what I've been trying to tell you, Jessica.
My name is Rebecca.
That's what I said. And now, to make it clear, I'm totally good to use my powers now. So if I want to blow up a dragon, I can.
Yeah, but don't. Instead, use your powerful wand for other things and let me do the blowing up.
Whatever you say, my lady.
He grabs her hand and leads her to the bathroom. Ominous music plays. Everyone in the tavern laughs and chats. There is an evil laugh in the air. Then,
What the fuck?
she leaves the bathroom in a huff. Dalvin follows suit, zipping up his pants.
Oh, come on, honey. You just need to put a little more, you know.
Dalvin motions with his head.
You still have to pay me.
She waits with her arms crossed and he looks around.
Can anyone spare 10 pieces of gold? Being a hero doesn't pay that much if you can't believe it.
20 pieces.
Wait, what? Baby, sweetie, you gonna do me like that?
I got you, boo.
Freya hands Rebecca her gold.
Okay, move it along. I think there's some princes over there looking for a little something. Frogs need loving too.
Rebecca sighs, turns herself into a frog, and hops away.
You.
Me.
Why?
Like I said, I got you, my little scrumptious.
Cut the crap, woman. You know what I'm talking about.
Meet me under the Archway of Wonders at midnight.
You mean your nasty ass bridge of homeless booty?
You like it.
Ah, you got me again.
See you soon.
She disappears in a cloud of smoke. Dalvin inhales deeply and closes his eyes. Farty. Exterior, under the bridge, midnight. Freya is decorating her apartment with the bones of a man.
Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack. Oops, I cut off your little dick.
Dalvin has walked in. He laughs along, which actually startles Freya. She composes herself.
Don't want to excite me too soon, my little soft roll of tissue paper.
So you did this on purpose. You one messy witch.
I did nothing that you didn't want.
I wanted my magic powers back, but not in exchange for my magic powers.
Oh, it's still magic. Trust me.
She takes a few steps closer to him. She feels his dick twitch. His eyebrows go up and he lets out an ah.
What's happening?
I told you. My potion only gives you what you really, really want. And what you really want is...
Don't you dare say.
Me.
She rolls onto a table closer to him and spreads her leg under her hideous dress. He groans and his hips jerk. He covers his pee-pee as it starts to pitch a tent.
It only works for you?
You've always wanted me, but you only care for your reputation. Saying it so.
Moaning.
It is so.
Tell me.
Tell you what?
Tell me
what?
Tell me what you like about me.
Your farts, your discolored completion, your bad breath, your
They are getting closer and closer.
ratchet power. Ooh.
Dalvin releases in his pants.
You and I can rule the town, Dalvin. You can kill the dragons, and I can collect all the dicks. And we can make war every night.
Collect them all? Is mine not enough for you?
Of course! But you do not want me to keep it in a jar, do you?
No. But I also don't want you to collect others either. No woman of mine is going to handle another Wallach's manhood.
How about this? You shut up, kill your dragons, let me do my thing, and I'll make sure Clayton's death is particularly wretched. Like when your mother calls and says, "Why don't you ever call me?"
They both roll their eyes. Exhaling.
Fine. But you must do something for me. Drag me into the night sky of ecstasy and make me feel the painful pleasure you spoke of.
As you wish. And if you survive, tomorrow we take on the world, you saucy little minx.
We will, you bug-eyed, bawling-faced looking witch. You're just so, ooh, ooh.
They both lick their lips and go at it. Cut to exterior over the bridge after midnight. Camera pans as moans are heard. The moans quickly turn into moans of pain from Dalvin. Fade to black. Roll credits.
Good job, guys. That was really good. George, I really liked how much you were really into your character. That was really funny. So I guess we're gonna open it up to questions from the audience, or I could also start it off if like anyone doesn't have any at the top of their head. But yeah, I guess I'll first open up to the audience. Do you guys have any comments or questions about this short?
Well done. That was great.
Okay, I guess I'll start. I guess I definitely was really entertained by this one. I appreciated the, I guess, sexual innuendos. I thought it was funny. I guess my concern about this is what is the, I guess, like climax? I don't know. What is the conflict? No pun intended with the climax, but what is the conflict of it? Like what about it is like what makes it more interesting, I guess? What's like like how does this resolve, basically? Yeah. Oh, this is for you, Jazmine.
Okay, great. I guess it's just that they decide to come together and take on the world. No deeper meaning here, or well, I mean, the conflict is that she stops Dick from working, and it only works for her, and he finally accepts it. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you for clarifying. I guess, do you feel like I don't know, when I was listening to this story, even though it was like really funny and really interesting, I felt like, you know, there wasn't really something that really pulled me into it, in the sense that like I felt a real like I didn't really feel that from them, I guess, like it was like kind of short, like the way they interacted. Again, I know it's a short, but I guess it could be a little more intense in those moments. I felt like maybe it's because like I can't really obviously visualize everything, but I really don't, I guess I don't really understand why the warlock is really into all these nasty things. I think it's really funny, but I guess, is there like a way to convey like what his, I don't know, backstory is? Like, why does he like this stuff? Like, is there a way, like what's so normal about it?
Well, for comedic reasons, it's just funny that he's really into these gross things.
Vero, I saw that you wanted to share. You're allowed to share.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I agreed with Andy about it being really interesting, and just like the back and forth between Freya and Dalvin. But I guess for me, I just wanted more like background, like a little more exposition, because I didn't realize or understand like why like Dalvin hated Freya so much, or why she was just so ugly and undesirable, and why that was just such like back and forth. Because I feel like at its core, I don't know, it's really funny and I like how it works, but I just want more of like I don't know, literally just more exposition, specifically about Freya, because Dalvin just kind of seems like another one of her victims.
Kimberly, did you have something to say?
Yes. Yeah, I thought I love the world of it. I love how funny and like just dark it is. I think you do a really great job of painting that picture. And my main question does kind of piggyback off of Andy's a little bit, but to me, it's like, well, if she's a witch, why can't she just make him like her? Like, I know she gets like the dick to stop working, but wouldn't it just be easier or simpler just to have like a spell so that he can, you know? So I'm wondering, like, what are her limitations in her powers? Like, is there like a special, I don't know, like potion that he's taken that kind of makes it so that she can't do certain magic, you know, against him? So yeah, I guess it's just really the rules. Like, what are the rules that you've created within this space? Which I think will also help create that tension of like why she can't just, like why she has like a back and forth, and why Dalvin just doesn't love her, you know, if she has that ability and the powers to kind of do whatever she wants as a witch.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that question. I actually was also wondering, is this like going to be set in just like a world just with witches and warlocks, or is this like they're with humans? Like what time period is it and all that? I guess, yeah, I know it's not necessarily something that will explicitly or intensely change the narrative of your story, but it's definitely important for like other people to understand, like, and visualize it. So yeah, I guess Jazmine, if you want to answer that.
And there's not like, it's more because she wants him to admit that he likes her, not because she has limitations. Yeah.
Well, why does she want him to admit that? Like, what does that do for her?
It's always better for someone to admit something to you instead of you forcing it.
Okay. So that's like what she's really trying to get, is that natural admittance.
Right.
That's interesting. In a good way. Because now I'm just thinking like, oh, so that is the conflict of like, she doesn't want to use her powers or whatever. She wants him to naturally do so. But at the same time, she makes his dick stop working to bring him back. Not necessarily. So she's still doing things to kind of drive that but still she wants the actual words to come from his mouth. That wasn't a question, it was just me rambling.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to point it out. I guess, is there a better way to convey that conflict? I understand it's like a conflict, but I guess when people first kind of like have it like kind of shown or whatever, they're not really understanding that it's like the core issue of this short story. So yeah, I guess like it's not necessarily just a question for you, Jazmine. I don't know if anyone else has any suggestions or notes, but I feel like working on making that conflict a little more intense and more explicit, the fact that she is purposely not using her powers because she wants to do something, she wants to just get him to admit that he likes her and, you know, like cut off his dick and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know if anyone has any notes or tips for that, but that's definitely something I would, you know, look into a little more. I don't think it will change the narrative of the story, but I definitely think that backstory would help, you know, flesh it out a little better and like just bring it to life better.
Yeah, I agree. I think that all of the characters are very strong characters, and I especially like Dalvin, and I like how the playfulness between the characters, and I think you're off to a great start.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So does anyone else from the audience want to participate? Don't be shy. It's okay. This is the time to give feedback. Criticism is welcome because, you know, that's how you improve stuff. Yeah, so if anyone wants to chip in about anything, I know it's a short story, so it's like,
I have a question if nobody has anything to say. This is a very like not to be taken seriously kind of short, like leaning kind of towards like sketch comedy-ish. Does anyone have anything that would make it funnier or like funny situations I can like build into it? Anything to punch up like joke wise maybe?
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely maybe okay. I see what you're saying. I definitely thought the sexual innuendos are funny, but I do think maybe it's a little more explicit. I don't know what kind of audience you're trying to target specifically, but maybe a little more I don't know. I guess that was one thing. I guess Freya, the main character, she was definitely stereotypically a witch, but is there anything about her that kind of makes her stand out from other witches? Like, is she like kind of nerdy? You know, like what makes her kind of like
she's very mean.
Yeah, she's very mean. I know that, but like I feel like that's like typical of like most witches and stuff. But like I guess, you know, I kind of like want more character from her. She's just kind of like, we know Dalwyn's a warlock, but he's like kind of like a horny person, you know, like he's kind of a pervert. Like that's like kind of like something that's like funny on top of it. But I guess Freya's just like kind of, to me, like, yeah, she's mean, but I feel like she's like just a witch, you know? Like I feel like there's nothing like added to her, if that makes sense. And she's supposed to be like the main lead, so I feel like adding some type of personality to her or like kind of like archetype or something, you know, would really, I guess, bring out the jokes.
Yeah, I think something that actually might be helpful would be like, I don't know, having some type of private moment just so that we can see like who Freya is like in her own space. Because I feel like a lot of comedy comes from you know, watching people struggle through things, or us as an audience knowing certain information and then seeing the character either not do that information or, you know, kind of thing. So I think like if just seeing Freya's like own internal struggles, and yeah, if she's mean, like is she mean and also super mean to herself, and does she say fucked up shit to herself as well? And that could be like something that's like super funny, like, oh, you stupid ugly bitch, you know. And then she kind of goes out to Dalvin, it's like, hey, do you like me, you know? And that's like also like a fun contrast, or not really a contrast, because, you know, we see that she's mean all the time, or maybe on the other hand, maybe she's like really nice to herself, or she's trying to like, you know, build up her confidence or whatever. Or So I think a lot of comedy just in general, like I know it's supposed to be like something that's funny and, you know, not taken seriously or whatever, but I do think successful pieces still have that like conflict, that internal conflict, or, you know, we see her trying to get Dalvin's attention, but she wants it in a way that's like natural. It's just like, yeah. And I feel like with Dalvin, it's like we see that, yeah, he's like the super horny guy, and that kind of what ends up being his downfall in a way, which is not really a downfall. Is just he's just playing out who he is, which kind of makes him succumb to Freya. So yeah, I don't know if that's a private moment that you can add, or just who is Freya to herself.
Yeah, I agree. I think this, honestly, the short is really funny. I guess I want to bring it back to the opposite side of it. I know you're really into horror. I know this is supposed to be a dark comedy, which is like, it is pretty dark, but I wanted to know like how you could make it a little more horrific, because it's kind of leaning more towards on the comedic side. I don't know if you were trying to at all like just add in a little horror, like just add in a little like elements to it. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen like Cabin in the Woods. It's like very much equally like funny and horrific. So I don't know if you were like trying to go for just the comedic side, or you trying to like balance out the horror and the comedy. But yeah, it's definitely funny. I don't know about like the horror side of it. I feel like it could be a little scary if that's what you were going for, but I'm not really sure what you're going for. But yeah, I guess if that is something that you are considering, I guess that does anyone want to like suggest anything? Or Jazmine, I guess, like, do you want to tell us if you, okay, wait, Mario.
I can throw a couple of things in, just listening. Because you could play up the gore a little bit, like she could actually like blow somebody's head up or so. I mean, I don't know how much you have in your budget for effects, but there's pretty simple effects things that you could write in that can actually play funny with, you know, something exploding or something like that. And I think also, so people like Kimberly was mentioning, like the alone moment, like getting to know your character, which even though it's a sketch, if you can just do one little thing at the very beginning that establishes her want, you know, like so that we know, oh, she really wants to fall in love. And, you know, and maybe she's eating like cloves of garlic, you know, like, and it just kind of shows what she's doing, but she has a very specific type of man, you know, who can, even her dating profile is like must love garlic and smelly crack. It just, you know, it's just that kind of thing that you can like even learn something about who she is and what she wants, and then that kind of plays out with what you're doing, I think.
I can add something. I can add something. Yeah. No, it's great. I missed the first couple of minutes, so I don't know if it was in there. I apologize, but you know, there's something around magicians, right? Which is the same as a witch. It's an archetype in the tarot, and there's often the inverted magician who uses the dark side to create their magic, you know, and interfere in other people's lives and whatnot. And there's something around. You know, and I don't know if this is for your script or something, but there's something around, like, it's funny to me that, you know, you see people who perceive themselves as all these powers, and what happens if they they cast a spell that gets out of control. You know, that's always amazing to me. You know, they comes back on them and they go, oh fuck, I gotta do this, or they create, you know, some mock-up of a man, whatever it is. You know, it's always interesting to me. I was just without going too far to the side, but you know, I just started to get onto Twitter, so I'm not really I just like, and I landed right when the whole thing exploded. It was kind of funny, but you know, the funny thing I saw there today, and you know, Elon Musk is a bit of a musician, right? He's a bit of a shot, he's a bit of a wizard, and he uses all kinds of spell work all the time. He's using spell work all the time, and he did the thing where he's got, you know, he did the $8 subscription thing. And then people posted like fake profiles of, you know, Lily, whatever the things were, that dropped their stock by $30 billion. And, you know, that just came out today. that's fucking funny, you know. So it's just like he created this thing, this spell work, you know, that backfired on all these other forms, you know. So it's like out of like, what have I unleashed here, you know? So there's something around that of the spell intended and the spell one receives, you know. And it's not always, and if it's used for malicious purposes to try to, you know, gain control or whatever, it usually comes back in really crazy ways I've seen. So anyway, my 2 cents.
Thank you for that, Johnny. I guess I want to piggyback on Mario just because I kind of interrupted you before started speaking. So I guess I do like the idea where you kind of like show scenes or like images or like just convey more like personal characteristics. It definitely would make it more, I think it would make it more like definitely funnier because you know, it's just like we get to know more about herself and whatnot, but you don't have to do it through dialogue. I do like the idea of like, you know, we see her on like a little dating profile website or something, or like eating like nasty, like trash, like finding trash to eat and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, I kind of agree with Mario in that sense where like you don't have to write it in, you could just kind of like show it. I know it's a little hard to like just convey that in a screenplay, but I would, if you do end up making this into a film, that's definitely something I would consider. And does anyone else have any more questions or concerns or like want to share any comments or anything?
Yes, I'd like to know for Jazmine, what's next? What's next for this? Or where do you see it going?
Well, first I'm kind of I'm getting feedback from several people to see if I should make it longer, how to make it better, etc. And I plan on shooting it next year.
Great.
Okay, cool. So anyone else? Any last thoughts? Anyone?
I just thought it was really fun, and I love the characters that you created and their attitudes. For me, I'm a person who loves assholes, so
yeah. You played that really well. It was really funny.
I really enjoyed it as well. And I actually also agree with Kimberly's comment about the private moment of Freya. That would be super interesting. Yeah, her internal struggles and what that might be, and that might up the ante of the comedy. Totally, I'm in agreement there. But yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next.
Anyone else want to pitch in? Okay, if not, I guess we could wrap it up. Just want to say thank you to everyone for joining. I know some audience members messaged me directly to I guess pass on the comments to writers. I know they didn't want to like put it up publicly, but I'll definitely forward you guys those comments, Johnny and Jazmine.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, I guess thank you for participating. This was my first event that I so I hope
well
it went
done.
well.
Yay, Andy.
And thank you to the actors. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. And definitely, if any audience members want to like do more of these workshops or screenplays, feel free to submit your work to Unfinished Works. We're definitely always getting submissions. We're definitely always looking at them, and we're always looking to improve like other, especially young minorities. We're especially trying to get them to like enter, you know, the entertainment space and like improve their writing and whatnot. So I especially encourage you guys, if you are a screenplay writer or would like to try it out, just send your screenplay right now. So yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Guys.
Yay.
Bye.
That was awesome.